Okay, here. So I'm happy if you like to highlight anything, then we can discuss right away, rather than strictly following the slides or whichever thing. Let me now first show you where we are now. Okay, can you see my screen now
Yes, sir.
on my blog?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
Prof.
I remember in the group you were talking about privacy issue during pandemic, right? Like my trace and my Sejahtera and all. I just spoke about this last week, yeah, which I showed you earlier. This is the event in UUM, University Utara Malaysia. So I delivered a keynote. Okay, so you can download the slide over here, and in fact there is this FB live where I delivered my speech. Yeah, just a very quick thing. Let me show you. Do you see my? Can you hear the voice?
No, sir.
A bit slow, Prof.
Not very clear, Prof.
Huh?
No, Prof, we can't hear.
Not very clear.
Okay, it's okay. So this is what I was saying. You see. So it is interesting to see that during this pandemic, the issue of data privacy is emerging. And I was asked to speak about those issues, including how the My Sejahtera fares comparing to the data protection law. Never mind. Okay, Tapa. So I just want to show you very quickly. Now, let me now show you where we are in relation to the course. So we have covered all this intro to internet and introduction to internet governance, and then the law of cyberspace and how to regulate the law, regulate the internet, Then internet content regulation, we did this last time, looking at how the different countries put attempt to regulate and to restrict the speech in the internet. Okay, we skip e-commerce law for now. So far, we come to this one. What is privacy? Yeah. So let me now. I will just be guided with this rather than looking at the slide. What is privacy? I think privacy is a right. Yeah, it's a right. Please, you can go to the reading materials for more details. So it is a right to control. Yeah, right to control yourself or about yourself. It is about privacy. I think we mentioned about this earlier. And then what is the scope of right to privacy? Right, privacy to your body, privacy to territory, privacy to data. Yeah, how Islam views privacy? I think in many verses, in many injunctions, Quran as well as Hadith, we see how Islam upholds very much the importance of privacy, because it is very much needed for human life. Sometimes you need to be alone, doing your private works, private matters, and the fact that house is very much respected, protected. No one should be allowed to enter into someone else's house without consent of the owners. Then about the what aurat, the aurat, the parts of the body that had to be covered. This is actually about privacy. Yeah, which part is for ladies, which part is for men. It is a privacy. You are not allowing others to have a view, to have an access to to the sighting of those parts which is included as a aura, aurat, aura. So this is also the idea is about protecting the dignity of a person. Yeah, and then so this is very much an Islamic principle. I mentioned this in my conference in Belgium, yeah, in Brussels last year in 2019. It was interesting, these people, and it was a very reputable conference. Every year they will hold a conference on data protection and privacy. The name of the conference is called CPDP. I think I sent to you the YouTube video when I was speaking there. It was interesting because I got invitation from them because they are interested to know. So it is their own decision. It is not like solicited from myself. I want to talk about this. No, they were actually discussing that this privacy is really a universal idea, and they want to know how much it is being recognized in different civilization and cultures, and therefore they come with the idea of what about Muslims? Does Islam see the importance in right to privacy? So somehow they got me. I forgot how they got me. I think through some people. So Alhamdulillah, they invited me, and it was a great opportunity for me to speak about uh, right to privacy in the Islamic perspective. Most of this audience, of course, they are not Muslims. They wanted to know, and it was very fair that they really are interested to know, and they were asking questions. But we come to this conclusion, of course, that privacy is a human universal value that we have to respect and should not be infringed. Yeah, that's why in Malaysia now we have more and more cases where privacy breach is a basis for compensation in torts. Yeah, maybe 10 years ago it was not very clear, but from time to time we have more and more cases in Malaysia where the court gave compensation or awarded compensation for someone was who argued that his privacy was intruded. Yeah, I give you example in this case. Do you see this one on my screen? Liu Chirpo, yeah, Liu Chirpo versus Pua Yong Yong. What happened in this case was this plaintiff, he was suing the defendant. Why? Because the defendant installed a CCTV on his house, which was directed to the entrance of the plaintiff's house. You can imagine, yeah? So this was between A and B, plaintiff and defendant. Defendant installed CCTV. Actually, there were about 5 or 6 cameras he installed around his house. Well, the history behind this is that they were actually quarreling. There was dispute between these two neighbors. So one of them, in order to protect them, they came up with this idea of putting on this CCTV. One of those CCTV was put directed towards the entrance of the plaintiff's house. If you are the plaintiff, the moment you realize that, what do you feel? Lukman, Hakim, what do you feel if it was your house being spotted and directed?
Personally, I would feel my privacy has been breached.
Why? What is it that you feel other than talking about privacy? Let's say we don't know anything about privacy, but what do you feel?
Oh, insecure because people are watching me from a distance, You
True, true.
cannot trust people nowadays because nowadays, we have psychopath, and all those kind of people, you cannot be that trust on that
So
people.
exactly, you will feel your security. You will feel your security because basically your movement is detected. Your
Yes.
movement in and out the house, now can be detected. Even though it was your neighbor, but the fact that there was a quarrel and dispute between you and this neighbor will make the reason stronger that you feel insecure. Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing is that, thank you, Hakim. Another thing is that you also feel maybe you feel that you are being yeah intruded. You are feeling intruded. You feel that someone else has illegally wanted to intrude into your life by knowing, by trying to know uh, just the moment where you are out or into the house. Yeah, so exactly, it is about privacy. Now we take it out, we summarize that it is about privacy. You don't want to lose the control of this authority, or this control. You don't want to lose this control, whereby you are to decide what to share with others and what not to share with others. So this is very interesting case, because right to privacy or breach of privacy is actually a solution for the more conventional case of trespass. Yeah, in the past, people will be stopped if it was a trespass, but only if it so happens that the person intruded physically into your house. So you can stop him and you can get compensation out of him if there is trespass. But here, what happened today is that the person did not physically come and step on your land, your house. So he may remain in his own house, but he has his CCTV and camera installed from his house and directed to you. So this is, I mean, the law of privacy will actually solve this situation where the law of trespass cannot help. Yeah, when the law of trespass cannot help, then you have this law of breach of privacy. In Malaysia, this cause of action, which is a breach of privacy, has been recognized in some cases, even though it is not very strongly recognized. So you can look again into this web page of mine. So you will see lots of these cases. For example, starting from Ultra, Dr. Bernardine, Lo Churpo, Maslinda Ishaq, Lee Yupo. Yeah, most of these cases are involving breach of privacy. I forgot if I have shared with you, my article which I wrote about right to privacy. You may want to check again. I wrote about this some time ago, but it is somehow um it was uh, looking at many of these cases and summarizing the position. Okay. Right. Now, when it comes to internet, I think I mentioned last week the internet has made this privacy issue becoming more chaotic. Yeah, because it seems that you are increasingly losing control over your data, isn't it? Yeah. Has it ever happened to you where you met someone who you barely know, or maybe knows just a little bit, or maybe you just know a little bit about him, but then you realize that he knows a lot about you? Have you come to that situation? Or maybe to your friend who never met so often before, or didn't met often before, but then you realize that he has been following you because you have what you have been writing on Facebook or on Instagram, whatnot. So you actually have been sharing this data. So to some extent, you are no longer sure which one is still your private data, which one is not. Yeah. So this is the big challenge we are seeing now. That's why the law of Personal Data Protection Act is trying to solve the situation, trying to correct and rectify the situation for those whoever in a commercial environment and making use or collecting data, then they have to abide by those 7 principles. I mentioned this last week, right? 7 principles of data protection. Yeah. Now let me talk a little bit about this Personal Data Protection Act. That this act, unfortunately, unlike many laws in other countries or region, this law in Malaysia, especially, is not applicable to governments. Yeah, that's the issue. It is not applicable to government. Unlike in many other countries, or in fact, in most of the countries, Personal Data Protection Act applies to government, but in Malaysia it is not. This is one of the biggest gap. Yeah, because in Malaysia it is made like a double standard for private sectors as well as any non-governmental institutions who collect data of individuals, then they have to abide by all these rules. While government agencies, especially ministries, the government hospitals, and then the officers, many of those government-related officers, when they collect the data, they are not subject to the same rigorous principles. So to some extent, people say, well, it's so good. I mean, so easy for the government to do that. They don't need to be subject to any law. So it is good for them. But what I argue is that it may be bad. I think it is bad and it will be worse for the government if they are not subject to laws like the PDPA 2010. Why? Because people nowadays are getting more and more aware. Yeah, people are getting aware of their rights. Okay, so they want to know what you do with their data. So if the government agencies, yeah, are not subject to any rules, it will create a very low standard, yeah, in which it may further create some distrust between government and citizens. Yes, this distrust is easily created. It will mix up with political issues and so on. But then the moment the citizens are losing some trust to the government, then it will be difficult for the government. So I think in near future, really we need to change this situation. We need to make the governments upping or enhancing their standard in terms of protecting the data of people. So like the data of your MyCard, your IC, yeah, is processed by whom? Who process
Oh,
your IC number, IC data? Huh? Mana? KDN, right?
National
KDN.
Registration Department,
Yes. NRD, National
CPN.
Registration Department, under KDN, Kementerian Dalam
Dalam
Negeri.
Negeri.
Exactly. So this department is part of the government. According to the PDPA, they are not subject to the law. Therefore, this database and whatever is being used and managed and exploited from the IC numbers, the national registration numbers of the Malaysians, they are not subject to the PDPA. So are they subject to any rules? Not really. They are just subjecting themselves on the internal procedures, but there is no law for it. Yeah, I mean there's no common law. I mean no general law in explaining what to do with the whole life cycle of data when you collect it, when you store it, when you secure it, and so on. There is no such law. It's only in the PDPA, and it doesn't apply to the government. Yeah, like the data of My Sejahtera. Who is processing the data of My Sejahtera? My Sejahtera is this COVID-19 tracing app. Yeah, tracing apps by which you are registering, yeah, your movement or your travel or your visit to certain places. So this data, when you submit it online, these data are sent to the processor. Of course, it is an outsource or it is a third party, whatsoever. Yeah, but they belong to the Ministry of Health, Kementerian Kesehatan. So Ministry of Health is a government agency and they are not subject to the PDPA. So we have this situation in Malaysia that this data, as long as they are processed by government, they are not subject to the PDPA. However, we have this discussion as to what amounts to government here. The word government has not been clearly defined. That's why we have issues such as municipalities and then statutory bodies. Are they parts of the government? Yeah, I must say it is really gray area. But in order to really serve the purpose of the law, you better take the stricter approach. And the stricter approach means these statutory bodies, municipalities, they are not considered as part of the government. Yeah. So what is government? Only those ministries which are the agencies which are directly under the ministries, and then of course the courts, judiciary, and then parliaments. Yeah. So police data, the data of criminals and everything under the police department, since it is under the direct supervision of the Kementerian of the ministry, then they are also not subject to the PDPA. Yeah. It will be different with LHDN or IRB, Inland Revenue Board, for example, which is a statutory body having some structure of its own, and it is legislated. So the way we see it is different from the way we see a department, police department, for example. So they are not considered as the direct extension of the government. Therefore, they are not exempted from the PDPA. Likewise, the university, Universiti Malaya, Universiti Kebangsaan, even UIA, which people consider as all here are public universities. Yes, they are public universities, but they are not government, because like each of the university, they are statutorily legislated, and like IUM, it is even stronger to apply PDPA because IUM is a company. So that is the issue lah. Unless you may want to dig further on this issue, what is actually the meaning of government under the PDPA, then go ahead. So far, we don't really have a very strong answer to that. And as a matter of fact, there is no case yet being brought to the court. So the court didn't have, or so far do not have the opportunity to interpret the meaning of government. Okay. Then another important element. Sorry, let me just go to. Okay, this is a somehow different slide that the one I gave you, but mostly they are similar. I mean, the content are quite similar to those that you have it. Let me see where I want to highlight. Any questions so far on the PDPA? I want to spend my time on PDPA because this is a very important legislation.
Sir,
Yes.
you mentioned just now the government is not subjected to PDPA, right?
Yes.
So what happen if, let's say, for example, I have a certain disease, okay, and I make an appointment and I got treated in the government hospitals, and somehow some of the staff in the government hospital actually took my data, my confidential information, and then leaked it out to the public. So in that situation, can I sue the government and the hospital for in breach of my data? Since you mentioned just now, the government is not being protected by the PDPA.
Yes, the answer is yes. You can, but first you cannot use PDPA against them. But what you can do is you may want to sue them under certain laws. Number one, under the common law of breach of confidence. Yeah, because it is supposed to be confidential. Then it should not be leaked or breached or shared to other people. Okay, number one. Number two, it may also be a breach of contract. Yeah, because supposedly there was somewhere in the agreement that the hospital must not leak the data. Yeah. So now I'm showing you this slide. Patients' data has been leaked to outsider. This was happening in one of the government hospitals in Kuala Lumpur. What it says here. High Court ordered a university-based medical center in KL. Can you name it?
PPUM.
Is it the only one?
HUKM?
Then?
I don't have no idea.
Okay. You mentioned two good names, either PPUM or HUKM. These are two hospitals which are based in a university and they are in Kuala Lumpur. So it is either one. What did they do? I mean, one of the doctors or the people in the hospital had shared a data about one of their patients and revealed it to a third party. The data that was revealed was about his psychiatric medical records, about psychiatric, ya, sakit jiwa, sakit mental, penyakit mental. So, penyakit mental, they share it with a third party, and it was, of course, a breach. So, what happened? The person sued the hospital, and the court ordered, yeah, basically found the hospital liable, and ordered, yeah, to pay the person 400,000 ringgit. So this is an example. That is what we can do lah. But imagine if the PDPA applies to this government hospital, certainly, I mean, things will be much easier for people, yeah, to argue and to find the guilt, yeah, in this situation. Okay. There is another important matter about PDPA you need to know. It excludes non-commercial use. What is non-commercial use? Then you better know what is commercial use. Non-commercial use means those which are beyond or which are not included under the commercial use. So the word commercial has been understood quite widely. It can be anything which at the end lead to some, commercialization, something to do for profit oriented. It doesn't have to be transactional, but anything beyond, like before, during, after, or beyond the transaction. Like somebody we use a database, somebody collect data of people in order to send promotion materials, either product or service of anything. Even though there was no contract, there was no transaction, but this is already a commercial use. So this is subject to PDPA. However, if you have the data, you collect data, or you maintain certain database and use it not for commercial purpose, then it is not subject to the PDPA. So for example, is for private and recreational use. Each of you, I believe, has a database in your mobile phone of the contact persons, yeah, of people's contact numbers, right? You go to your mobile phone, yeah, there is this phone book, okay? Phone book. What do I have in my phone book? A lot. In the past, it cannot accommodate more than 100, and then more than 500, and now it is limitless because the data is actually stored somewhere else. This data is for my private purpose, so I don't need to get consent of these people in order to collect this data, isn't it? Like the data of people who graduated from the same school with you. Let's say sekolah menengah kebangsaan yeah, ABC in Petaling Jaya. So you have a reunion. So what you do? You try to collect the data from anywhere. Then you start calling each other, your friend. Yeah. So you actually make it very clear to them that this data is only used for the purpose of this reunion. Let's have a reunion. Come on, then you have all those database. This is private, non-commercial use. However, the moment you use those data in your private database for something commercial, then you are bound by the PDPA. The moment you want to use it, for example, I have all these 1,000 people in my phone book. Then I want to send some promotion materials about some, travel services, travel and tour services. By then, your use is already considered commercial. If it is a commercial use, that means you are bound by the PDPA. For example, you don't simply use it for that purpose until and unless you get a consent. You get a consent or authority. And if you don't do that, and if anybody whom you targeted, you call or you send the promotion materials, if they complain against you, then you can get, in the trouble of the law. Yeah. So that is the difference between the commercial use and the non-commercial use. So all this while, there is no further explanation. Where people have been asking, for example, what about religious purpose? For religious purpose, it is not commercial. Let's say people collect data and make use of data, exploiting data, and sending promotion materials about some uh, about some rituals or some religious events. Or what about political use? People use the data in order to remind you, don't forget to go to the polling center tomorrow and choose the best person who had served the country. Something like, political invitation. This is not commercial. So people have been arguing on this. Is it subject to PDP or not? Yeah. Well, based on the strict explanation of the law, if there is no monetary or not only monetary, if there is no commercial aspect of it, then it will remain as non-commercial. However, it will be different if we are talking about religious or political purpose, but the person who used the data is actually a commercial consultant. Yeah. For example, I want to run for the next election, so I hire a political consultant. This is a company and they are making money. I hire them in order to undertake, my campaigns, awareness, and so on. So if these people are the one who make use of those data, certainly this is commercial. This is commercial purpose. Therefore, it has to be subject to the PDPA. But now, if you realize sometime your member of parliament, your house representative, they have this database of people who live in this area. For example, I'm a MP for Gombak. So I have all database of people in Gombak, all the ketua-ketua kampung, all ketua kampung in my area of Gombak. So I have all their data, and then, coming up this new year, I will send each and everyone an SMS. Selamat Tahun Baru. Semoga semua sihat. Happy New Year. Wishing all people are well. And salam takzim from your member of representative, Azmin Ali. Oops, sorry. Sonny Zeruda. Yeah, because this is Gombak. So what happens? The person uses this for political purpose, in order to extend his political agenda, whatnot. So this may not be a commercial purpose. However, people are not happy about it. So when we have this discussion with the ministry, this is one of the area they want to improve on the the scope of this commercial and non-commercial purpose. Okay. Um.
Bro,
Yes. Any question,
my
please?
question is, so let's say if I send someone promotions on WhatsApp and I don't know the number also, like just like I have the number and I send it to him or to her. So even here I have under VDA, VDB, sorry, commercial, or I don't, it's not commercial.
What is it that you are sending?
Like something promotion or anything.
Yeah, if it is a promotion of something, of an event or product or service, it is considered commercial.
I see.
Yeah, and you are sending to this list of mobile phone numbers, is it?
Yes, bro.
And you said you don't know these people,
Yeah.
but do you have their names?
I have their names. Let's say I have their names, and I send it to all of them. So it
Yeah,
considers.
that is good enough to say that you are actually misusing their numbers, and these numbers by which you can identify the person. Let's say I have 100 numbers. If I pick any one of them, I will be able to identify who this person is. So this is a personal data. And if use has never been consented by these people, then if anybody using it for any purpose, then it is in violation of the PDPA. That's why all this direct marketing will have to find the best way or a new way in order to promote something rather than blasting the email or mobile numbers. This is something of the past. Meaning in the past it was still okay, but now people are getting more sensitive, and in fact, if they complain, it may be dealt with under the as a violation of the PDPA, because you simply blast your email or your promotion materials to this database of people or of the phone numbers and so on without basically getting a prior consent to them from them.
So probably will be the same if I also send it to them by email or anything, right? I mean,
Yes,
it will be the same. All right.
as long as that email address is a data by which you can identify the person.
I see.
Because uh, there is a way. If you have a database of email address, um there is, I mean, of course this is very, sometimes it can become very uncertain, but as long as there is a way for you having this database on your in your hand, and there's a way for you to be able to check who owns this email address, then it becomes part of the personal data, which is protected under the PDPA. So the main criteria of personal data is any data or any information by which you can identify a living individual, a person, basically, yeah. Either by itself, for example, by name, yeah, Sonny Zulhuda. Then you realize, I think there's only one person having this name, Sonny Zulhuda, and you remember the person who is in iCall. So that is good enough. The name itself is good enough to identify a person. So this is part of the personal data or personal information. But that doesn't mean that no, I mean, people cannot use my name for any reason. You know, I have my name. I have my name, Sonny Zulda. You want to put my name somewhere for the purpose of research or for writing somewhere, it is okay. But the moment you are using it for this commercial purpose, such as sending me materials, sending me, communications, which I never consented before, then it can be an issue under the PDPA. I think I highlighted
Thank you very
you.
much, bro.
Yes. Okay, before I move. Okay, Farah.
Doctor, what do you mean by consent? Which means that I need to ask the permission to send all of the materials. For example, I want to sell my Shakli. I want to promote Shakli, for example, to my friends, or I have the phone number in my phone. So
Mhm.
so before I send the all the promotion, I need to ask the consent, which is mean that the direct consent. Can I send you this promotion? Is it what you mean?
Something like that. Look, if you are
Um,
sending these materials to people whom you know well and they know
mm,
you well, I don't think there
mm-hmm.
is an issue, right?
Yeah,
You want to send a new promotion materials to the alumni of the same batch that you know each other. Hey guys, I have this. If you are interested, let me know. Isn't it? This is something
yeah,
out of
yeah, yeah.
it is something out of a friendship. Out of it is okay. It is understandable, even though it is
Mm-hmm.
commercial. Even though it is commercial, and you never get consent of your friends to send you this materials. It is okay. Why? Because they will never mind. They don't mind, and they will never report you.
Okay.
So because you have in this social construct, you have this kind of common expectation. Yeah,
Mm,
the moment you start, communicating, you know what is expected from your friend or whatnot. But now imagine if you get these materials from someone you don't know, yeah,
mm,
or someone you are not very close to, then you have some reservation. You have some reservation and objection. That is what we want to achieve here. For those kind of situations, yeah, you don't use, and as a matter of fact, maybe you have their numbers, but why did you have their numbers? Maybe because last time you have some business in the past, or maybe you used to have some conversation and you said, why don't we exchange numbers? Then we have to consider, when this number was given to us, was it given for the purpose of certain things, or was it actually given only for the realm of the casual communications? You have to consider that, because the moment you blast your promotion materials to these people, the fact that they never consented to get this kind of promotion by way of the numbers, it may be a hassle for them. It may be an inconvenience for them. So in this situation, that's why the PDP says that if you want to use these people's data or numbers whatsoever for the purpose of commercial matters purpose, then you should have, according to section 6, the first principle I mentioned last week, yeah, you have to get a consent. How to get that consent? It depends, because the law doesn't really say how, except in some situations. If the data is sensitive data, then the consent must be in writing or must be explicit. What is sensitive data? What do you think is sensitive data, Farah? What is it
um,
about you that you consider sensitive?
um, my apa? Number phone.
Your phone sensitive, ya? Oh, okay, tak apa.
Sensitive
Alah, what do
for
you think is
men.
okay?
My IC number, I think. My
IC
IC
number.
number. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
IC
but but
number.
but the problem, the issue now, IC number of Malaysians are everywhere. They ask IC number everywhere. So
Yes.
so that is a problem. If you consider sensitive, it seems that people are not sensitive. Because they keep asking your IC numbers everywhere. Huh? Everyone else, Hakim, what do you think is sensitive for you?
Mm, in terms of data, bro.
Yeah, what data? Data about what?
Does pictures count as data, sir? Online
Yes,
pictures.
because
My
by pictures, people can identify you.
yes, my pictures, my social media's content. Um,
Okay, sensitive, yeah. How
yeah,
many
quite
friends you
sensitive.
have on your social media?
Sorry,
How many friends you have on Facebook, for example?
Facebook. Facebook, I have around 4,000 something.
Wow, it
but
doesn't
that was
doesn't.
that
Uh,
was my from my school days. Back
I
then when
know.
you were in school, you doesn't think much about your data, your personal privacy, and so on. But now I'm quite worried about it actually. I
You
mean,
can
you
start
don't.
looking. You can start looking at your friends' list and then start to remove one by one.
I'm doing it, but it's taking forever.
I know, and I used to do it very frequently. Now I think I have less than, I don't know, less than 1,500 if I'm not mistaken, because I have been very, very conservative, and I have the list of more than 1,000 people waiting to request my friendship.
Hmm.
I'm just feeling I don't. If there is no urge, I will not do that. Okay, picking from there. So you are saying that your content of social media is sensitive. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What else?
Yeah,
Anything
Prof.
else? Suryati, what do you think is sensitive data for you?
Sir, it includes any data information about us that we do not consent to expose to the public or any stranger, that we restrict
Okay,
only to the person that we choose.
give me example. Give me example. What kind of data is sensitive for you?
Like for example, our personal background, our educations, family
Education,
informations.
family. Don't you realize that people can easily get the data of your education by clicking LinkedIn
Facebook.
or any Facebook?
Yes,
Yeah,
Prof, but it cannot be controlled. But anyone can post anything about anything can be related about us, because
exactly.
the internet is
May-
sensitive about. Yeah.
Maybe your data is still there in iCall or in UIA somewhere in the website, or in some documents on the cyberspace. So indeed, it can be sensitive, but unfortunately, doesn't mean that it is still well kept, isn't it?
Yes, Prof. It depends on the authority who kept our
Yeah,
personal data.
true, true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many people, including those in the authority, they are not rigorous enough, yeah, to protect this data. So now let me tell you what the PDPA says about sensitive data. There are only
Yeah, Prof. May I add something about sensitive
yes,
data?
yes, Bird's Eye alias Abdul Qadir.
Yeah, Prof. Actually, if we say about my sensitive data, then I can say everything, every information is sensitive to me. But it depends on the people, on the audience to whom I expose. Like if I have any enmity with some people, and there is some possibilities to hijack me, then if I go somewhere, and before going, if I just post in the Facebook that I am going to there, then this data is also sensitive data to that people, because I have enmity with another people. But
Right.
to my friends, this is not sensitive.
Okay, then we have some relativity here. What is considered sensitive and what is not. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, what I want to share with you, in the definition of law under the PDPA, there is this one clause explaining what is sensitive data. There are only four categories, yeah, four categories of data which is considered sensitive. Number one is health data, the data about your health, either physical, mental, psychiatric, emotional. So health data is considered sensitive data. Second, yeah, second is any criminal background, yeah, any criminal background or background of offenses in the past. This is also, according to the PDPA, it is a sensitive data. Number three, data about your political belief. Yeah, not so much about not so much about who you vote. Either you vote for BN, PH, Bersatu, Berdua, yeah, and whatever parties. Not so much about it, but it is included. But it is beyond that. It's actually about how do you think about certain issues politically. So these are considered sensitive. So if anybody wanted to collect this information from you, then you must know that it is a sensitive data, and the law makes it compulsory for the person who collect the data to get explicit consent. There's the difference. Farah was asking about the consent. Consent, generally speaking, it doesn't say how the consent should be. It can be oral, verbal, by gesture, by writing, whatsoever. So collecting data to get a consent, you can use all those kind of methods to get a consent. However, when somebody collects the data which are considered sensitive data, then it must make sure it get explicit consent. Explicit consent means it must be in writing and must be very clear. Yes, I agree that my information will be collected for what purpose, so and so and so. Then either you tick or you give signature or you make it very, very clear to avoid any confusion. Okay, so I haven't come to the fourth one of the sensitive data. The fourth one is information about religious belief. So the third one was political belief, and fourth was religious belief. Not simply about your religion, because in Malaysia especially it is very known. Ali is, for example, a Muslim. Yeah, Achong is a Buddhist, for example. Yeah, Raju is Hindu. That is okay. I mean, it is like a very common demographic data, which is fine. And now people are doing census, right? They are taking that. But the moment they ask you, for example, the idea about some contentious issues relating to religion, that one will be considered sensitive. Different countries have different formulation. Which one is considered sensitive? Which one is not? So in Malaysia, only these four items. But actually, there is another one. There is number 5. Number 5 is or any data which is considered sensitive, as long as it is, declared sensitive by the order of minister. Meaning, for example, in future, people increasingly argue that okay, IC should be considered sensitive. Then the minister can come with the regulation considering that yes, IC will be considered a sensitive data. So now what is the difference? Especially the difference is the way how consent should be given. Yeah, if it is a sensitive data, it must be an explicit consent. That's why any form, for example, if you fill up any form and asking about your health, asking about whether you have asthma, whether you have some lung health problem, whether you have or whether you were affected by any virus. These are all health information. So more rigorous procedure will be applied, especially in relation to the consent. It must tell you. It must ask you your consent very explicitly, and with some uh, uh, non-vague indication. Okay, that is about personal data. Let me now show you further from here. I think last week I mentioned to you the 7 principles, right?
Yes, sir.
Prof, before you move further, can I know the
Okay.
section?
Yes,
Can I know
yes.
the section under PDPA, which is talking about sensitive data?
Okay. What is it? What is the question? Sorry? Oh, you're asking which section is it? Hello. What was the question again?
I just want to know the section for sensitive data under the law in Malaysia.
It is in general. It is in the general meaning, general definition, which is section 3. Let me check for you. Yeah. But it makes a cross reference to other section. Sorry, I said section 4, yeah? Sorry. So in section 4, it says about sensitive data, okay? One of the definition is about sensitive data, sensitive personal data in section 4. But then it make a reference or rather cross reference, yeah, to section 6, okay, section 6. Okay.
Yes, Prof.
And then section 40. So these are the three sections dealing with that. Section 6 and then section 40.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
All right. Okay, I think okay, let me see what area I want to highlight. Okay, in PDPA, I think this one I show you. You still see my screen or not?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, bro.
Okay, thank you. It is not really mentioned here, but let me see. Okay. The processing of data is being regulated. What does it mean to be the processing of data? It includes everything here. Processing in relation to personal data means collecting, recording, holding, storing, which means whatever you do with the personal data of people, then they will be subject to the PDPA. So it is not simply about using, starting from collecting, then you organizing data, or then you just want to show the data. All these are considered as processing because the meaning is very, very wide here. Then also what I want to highlight, okay, there are three, not this one. There are three people involved in the PDPA. Number one, the term is called data subject. Who is data subject? Data subject is the individual, right? Like me, like you, like everyone else whose data is being processed. Now let us now take, for example, you want to apply for Astro. So what you do? You will fill a form. Your data will be collected by Astro because you need it for their service. Okay, of course, this form will have to ask you, or will have to inform you what they do with the data. It is like it must also explain the privacy policy. Yeah? Other than asking name, contact number, whatnot, and there must also be some clauses or statement. What do they do with the data? If the form is too short, then at least they can give you the link. Yeah, if you want to know more about how Astro doing with the data, then please visit www.astro.com.my/privacy, for example, and then at least you know where to find out. Then you will write your name, your everything there. It is your personal data. So you are, as the person whose data is being processed, you are called as data subject. Okay, that's the term used. And what about Astro, who is collecting and processing the data? They are called data user. Yeah, data subject and data user. And now there is a third person in between by name of data processor. For example, Astro, because they want to be efficient, they don't want to be, distracted with the data management. So they hire or they outsource the data management to a third party, for example, to ABC Sendirian Berhad. So all data by Astro will be managed by ABC Sendirian Berhad. So this ABC Sendirian Berhad is named as data processor. So now in this PDPA, most of the duties are duties for the data user, not for the data processor. However, there are few elements which are binding for data processor. For example, on the issue of security, this data processor, the ABC 19 under the law, they are obliged to make sure that the data is secure. Because now actually the problem is maybe Astro is good already, they have good security already, but then the third party is leaking. This is one of the many issues. The leakage of data actually happens in the third party, which is outsourced. So in this situation, if that thing happens, still Astro as a data user will have to be responsible. But then also the data processor may be found to infringe the law if they are not putting enough security in their processor or in their system. Yeah. Then okay, I highlight to you these 7 principles. The more you read to this, the more you will get a dimension how it is. Basically, these 7 principles will have to be taken care by the data user. This one is okay. That's all right. Then we have some offenses under the PDPA. For example, breaching data protection principle is an offense by itself. Then failure to register as data user. So in Malaysia, data user from specific industries will have to register. But data user like small companies, like small organization, like individuals, even though they are data user, but they are not needed to register. So we have this regulation on that. Then unlawful collection of personal data. Why unlawful? For example, it was done without consent, or it was done, for example, by stealing. So for example, there is a hacker intruded into the data system of UIA, for example, and then they steal the data. So the act of hacking, you must differentiate. There are 2 different things here. The act of intrusion is a hacking, so it is a computer misuse under the Computer Crimes Act. But the act of stealing the data and collecting the data unlawfully, it is an offense under the PDPA. Are you following? Yeah. So these are 2 different things. Then unlawful sale of personal data.
Yeah,
If
Prof.
someone is selling data unlawfully, it is also another offense. Yes. Any question?
Yeah, Prof. Unlawfully enter into someone's computer, does it commit criminal trespass?
It is not called criminal trespass. If someone hacks into your computer, it is called unauthorized access. It is an offense. It is wrong under Computer Crimes Act in Malaysia. In Singapore, it is called Computer Misuse Act.
Where there is no Computer Crimes Act, in that case, the people can seek remedy under criminal trespass law.
Well, it depends. It depends what the law says. If the
Because
law,
Prof, especially in Bangladesh, our law of criminal trespass, it defines that if someone entered into others' property without consent in order to commit any crime. So
okay.
if
But now the issue of the Qadir, what is the definition of property? Does it include this digital system? That is one. Number 2, what
actually,
amounts to the intrusion itself? Does it have to be physical intrusion, or is it also including any type of intrusion? So that really depends on how the law is being drafted.
actually, there is no specific provision that is it physical or virtual, because property means it may be immovable or movable. It's movable, then I think computer should include with this definition.
That is very debatable. I think you have to go back to how the law defines the word property there, because we also have situation where the penal code in Malaysia also criminalizes stealing if somebody misappropriates a property and so on and so forth. But that so much about digital property. Yeah. So I don't know. I cannot comment further, but you are to argue and to check how much this law in Bangladesh will apply to intrusion in the cyberspace.
Yeah, Prof. Okay.
Yeah, good thing. Okay, and we will learn for that matter. We will learn inshallah next week about cybercrime, including wrongs against computer misuse, against computer. Sorry, yeah. So I think it's about time. I'm not going to go extending until Maghrib time. So let me just show again this blog, yeah, to ensure that we covered all this. Even though I think a lot of things I have not yet specifically covered. Yeah. Okay. Personal data protection law. What is personal data? Yeah, we mentioned the objective of personal data protection law, of course, is to build trust, yeah, so people can transact freely, and also to protect the asset. Yeah. What are the data protection principles? Actually, in any country, under European GDPR, there is also in any law. Actually, there is a set of data protection principles. Yeah, like in Malaysia, in Singapore, so there is always this set of principles. How international community and global government protect personal data? Yeah, we have the clause on international transfer. So in PDPA there is section 129. Yeah, section 129 deals with the international data transfer. So if you want to transfer the data from Malaysia to, let's say, Bangladesh, for example, there is two companies, one Malaysian, one Bangladeshi company. They agree on each other, and for that purpose, they want to share the database of customer from Malaysia to Bangladesh. They want to share the access. So this is considered as international data transfer. Now, what is the situation? There must be agreement. There must be agreement between the Malaysian and the Bangladeshi companies that they are going to follow and to comply according to the law of the PDPA in Malaysia. Only after that it is allowed. Otherwise, it can be an offense. Meaning, if you simply transfer data to outside country, outside Malaysia, without having that kind of guarantee whatsoever, and in that country there is no such law, yeah, then it is an offense under section 129. Unless you want to share the data to Australia, for example, they already have a better law there. So you don't need that kind of agreement. So it is considered safe lah, because under section 129, it is fulfilling the criteria. Yeah. So you will realize that the issue of data protection now becomes somehow some parts of the issue of global trade, international trade, and so on. Yeah, that's why recently the US had
Excuse me, Prof.
had banned the operation of WeChat and TikTok. Yeah, in America, in the US. Yeah, under President Trump, he came up with this executive order saying that TikTok, yeah, must not operate in America, in the US, unless if they sell the operation in America to an American company. Why? The reason is because the data of the American users, yeah, it is suspected, yeah, to be sent and shared to China. That is one of the issue. Very interesting issue relating to that. Yeah. You know TikTok, right?
Yeah, sir.
Of course.
Yeah, Prof.
Silly platform.
Excuse me, Prof.
Yes.
I mean, is it the same principle when you mentioned Asia last week, Prof? The agreement between.
Yes, that is the same situation. Malaysia wants to move their data center to Indonesia. The problem is Indonesia doesn't have the law yet. Yeah, or the whatever existing regulation is not enough. So there must be agreement between AirAsia in Malaysia and AirAsia in Indonesia that whatever happen, all this data, everything must be protected, yeah, according to the law, according to the requirement of the law. So Irfan, it is exactly the same situation.
So, Prof, Malaysia government will endorse such agreement and will monitor the execution of agreement, Prof?
it doesn't require endorsement because contract is between the Malaysian and Indonesian part. But in case there is any complaint, or if the government wants to audit, want to check, so you better have that kind of arrangement. Otherwise, it can be considered as violation. You look at section 129.
Okay, clear, Prof. Thank you.
Right. Section 129 is very important part of this law, talking about this international data transfer. Yeah. Okay, let me just go back very quickly. Okay, what are the rights of individuals pertaining to their personal data? It's okay. This is quite related to the principle I mentioned to you last week, the 7 principles. So in that situation, there is a right related to that. Now you see topic number 7, emerging issues on personal data protection law, right to be forgotten. And then we just mentioned this one, international transfer of personal data. Yeah, we mentioned already. Right to be forgotten, let me deal with it later. And then data protection officers, yes. So now more and more law requires that the companies must have a specific data protection officer. In Malaysia, this is not yet a requirement. However, I tell you, yes, soon this will be part of the law because I was involved with the review process, with the review discussion and everything. They want to have a similar clause. Do you know what will happen? There will be a new market for data protection officers. If you are the one, if you are among the people who already know something about this, you are among the few, yeah, ready to embark to this market of data protection officers, because this is not like a normal or ordinary lawyers. Not every lawyers can be a data protection officer. And in fact, the issue is a mix between law as well as IT and some business process. So soon we are going to have, like in Singapore, in some other countries, some certification courses, yeah, where people will go for this course and they will be a certified data protection officer, because the law requires that certain, especially the big companies who deal with many personal data, they will have to appoint data protection officers. So I'm giving you a sneak preview about what market will come up soon. Yeah. Okay. This one, automated processing of personal data. This is actually what happens with the artificial intelligence. Because of the AI, now the collecting and the processing of data becomes automated. So what to do about it? This is actually, there is no specific law deals with that, but of course it is a challenge for us later on, how we can control, if it is possible ever, how we can at least control the sharing and the exploitation of data in the realm of AI and Internet of Things. Yeah, that is quite a challenge. Yeah, maybe we can talk about it again later. But I better ask you to read, yeah, about this very interesting area, including right to be forgotten, this automated processing of personal data, and this one, personal data ownership. Is the data, who is the real owner of data? I mean, this kind of things. I will share with you some materials, but try to follow all these material first. Yeah, I see there is no enough link. Yeah, but why don't you make your own research and try to find all these materials? Okay, I'll leave it to you. The rest, yeah. Basically, we have covered the main areas of personal data protection law, and inshallah, I'm always open for discussion in future. Yeah. Any quick question before we disperse? Today we have lesser people. I think maybe just few were not here. Is Imran here? Yeah, I can say you were there also there before. Arif, yeah. Okay, most of you are here.
Yes, Prof.
Fine. Any question from everyone? From anyone? If not, then we can stop over here. Please read more materials on data privacy and data protection law. This is, I must tell you, a very, very vivid, dynamic area of cyber law. Yeah, even more interesting than, I mean, this is my personal view lah. because I've been in this area, so I can see that. I mean, situation. I mean, the issues keep coming. Yeah, even before we settle the old issue, now coming new issue and so on, because of the data is being so exploited by so many people. So that is what I want to share with you. Yeah, thank you, and have a good day. We'll see you again next time, inshallah. Please
Thank you so much,
proceed.
bro.
Yeah, please proceed with your work. Yeah, yeah, keep up on your
All
work,
right.
and anything you let me, you consult with me lah. Yeah,
Sure,
thank
bro.
you, thank you.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
very
much,
much, Prof.
Dr.
Thank you very
Sonny.
much.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Assalamualaikum
Assalamualaikum
warahmatullahi
very
Thank you.
much.
Assalamualaikum.
wabarakatuh. Warahmatullahi.
See you next week, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Thank you, Prof.